We now have CFL draft prospect Isaac Adeyemi-Berglund joining us. Isaac, thanks for taking some time to talk with us.
No problem, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, so I just want to start with this. Obviously, you are a Canadian native. You grew up in Nova Scotia. When was the first time you played American football?
We played. I played at kind of like a prep school, as y'all would call it in Canada. We played a hybrid of rules, so we still had like the run and start for receivers, but we had um, three. We had three down. We had four downs, but we also had the no yard. So I played like a hybrid set of rules. So I was used to it when I got to the states. But I never played real American football until obviously I played at Southeastern.
So somehow Ron Roberts somehow found you up there. I don't know if you know how he found you exactly, but he finds you, he gives you a scholarship, and by the way, from where you played at to I looked it up, like how far away to drive. It's 26 hours, so it's pretty long. But how do you think they found you, and what made you say yes and kind of pack up everything to go from Canada to South Louisiana?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot, especially right now with scouts. They always ask, "Well, how did you get all the way down to southeastern Louisiana?" You know what I mean? You're going from one extreme literally to like another extreme. So I have no idea, man. I did a lot of camps uh, in hopes of being found by any school. My dream was to play in the NCAA. I didn't care what school was. All I wanted was to just be wanted, like just to a team to take a chance on me. And one day I got the call from Southeastern. I still have no idea how it happened, but the linebacker coach called me and he just told me that they might have a scholarship for me, just to wait a couple of days. He was going to check with Coach Roberts. Within the next, 3 or 4 days, they had offered it to me. It was really late, so I didn't take a visit. I didn't have anything like that. I just knew that this is my dream. It's what I've been working towards. So when I got the opportunity to play, I didn't and they wanted me. Somebody wanted to take a chance on me. That meant a lot to me, man. That they would invest that into me. So I was saying yes regardless. I took it. I didn't care who was coming after or who was, uh, interested in me in Canada, man. I had the opportunity and I just took it, man. We can say.
Isaac, growing like he said, growing up in Canada, was one of your dreams to play in the CFL or the XFL, or did it like not matter? Did you just want to play football?
Originally, man, I really was big into basketball, but as that kind of wore down, because of all the height and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't 6'5", but basketball was my thing, man. I mean, football ended up being my thing, and I'm actually from a place where we don't have a CFL team close. The closest team is 12, 13 hours away, uh, in Quebec on the East Coast. So that's the closest team. So I've never honestly even been to a CFL game. But when I started football, man, it was to play at the highest level, and I'm at a point right now where, like professional football is professional football. I know I went to a small school, so I know it's going to be a struggle trying to get to whatever level I want to get to. But I mean, I've overcome greater odds, so I'm excited about the next step. But yeah, man, I've always wanted to play at the professional level, ever since I started playing football.
So Isaac, you just piggyback off of that. Were you ever thinking about the NFL, or was it, obviously you're from Canada, or was it just CFL just all the way?
It was always NFL. I won't lie, it always was, man. And the only NFL game I've ever been to has been, a Saints game. I went there and it was my first game, and it was a couple years ago. But ever since that, man, I've wanted to play, in the NFL. It's always been a dream. It's always one of those things where it's like the forefront of your head. I'm lucky enough to be Canadian, so I have a chance to play in a professional league here in Canada, which would mean a ton for me and my family, to be able to be here in the home country. But whatever opportunity presents itself, and whatever team wants me is who I'm gonna go for ultimately. So that's my approach. But yeah, that's how we're gonna go here.
Now, Isaac, there's a lot we could talk about your career at Southeastern. I mean, you were excellent pass rusher. You were one of the best players on that defense. But I really want to talk about your future. I mean, you have been able to prop yourself up as a top 20 draft prospect in the CFL. You're training for it. But what is that like? What is the entire experience like? And, how is with what's going on with the world right now, how has that affected your path to the draft?
Yeah, it started off. I have a video coming out tonight that's gonna highlight everything over the next week that just I went through. But yeah, man, I went to Arizona. I trained at Exos, this big facility. I trained with the top of the top guys, and it was really eye opening for me because coming from Canada, it was the same type of experience where I want to be with the best. When I came to Southeastern, I wanted to be with the best players that I could be with in the NCAA, and I think we had some of those at Southeastern throughout my years. So that training process was absolutely nuts. The opportunities that I've been granted with because of my agency and my agent Zeke have been like I can't unexplainable. The amount of stuff I've seen and just been able to experience with this whole thing going on. It's been nuts because Pro Day has obviously been canceled, and it sucks for me. But it also, I feel for a lot of the other players too because, I was great on Southeastern's defense, and I really feel like you can't play everybody on the team at all times. We had a lot of players that, that were seniors that didn't get to showcase their abilities on the field just because things didn't line up. So I was really upset for those guys too that couldn't showcase their skills, their athleticism during an event like Pro Day. It's been really hard. I know a lot of us have filmed certain events. Like I know I had recently, before I left, I'm in Canada now, but before I left, man, I had jumped the fence and I had propped up my phone camera on, some of the barrels that we had at Southeastern. And I mean, I'm not there anymore, so I guess I can't get in trouble, but propped it up, man, and just set it up so people could see my drills and see how I move. So that's the struggle we're in right now. We're about 10 days off the draft, I think exactly from the NFL draft, and then we're another couple weeks away from the CFL draft. So it's nuts, man. And all the interviews that I have done have been online, just like this, where you get asked questions and they can kind of have a feel for you as a person and where you're coming from. As a man and as a player, they can pick your brain, but it's just not the same. And it's something that a lot of people look forward to. But yeah, I'm excited. Nonetheless, I'm excited. I feel like the draft's coming up, give us all an opportunity to kind of let go of this virus perspective and look on the bright side, bring us together to talk about football again, kind of like we're doing right now. So I'm excited about that.
For the CFL fans watching, one of your coaches at Southeastern on the offensive side of the ball, Kerry Joseph, one of the greatest offensive players the CFL has seen. I'm curious if you were aware of his career. Were you a fan of his before he got to Southeastern, and what was that like being able to be part of the same program as him?
Yeah, I actually didn't really know until he told me one day. He put me aside and he had told me that he was going up for a ceremony in Saskatchewan. And that's the first time I really took notice. Like coming up from Canada, I was all NCAA oriented. I wasn't anything else. I didn't care about nothing else. And well, now I know a lot more players in the CFL now in the NFL. But it's cool because that's a guy that I can relate to on more of a personal level now, because we're maybe we're not going to the same place. I mean, he's done great things, but he just has an idea of like where home would be for me. Maybe it's not Saskatchewan, but just this country, what they bring to the table, the fans that they have, and it's cool. He's one of the people that I reach out to whenever I have questions about the CFL, and he gives me a lot of guidance. So, but I have a lot of respect for Kerry Joseph and everything he's done for the country that I'm from and what he's giving back to the game at Southeastern. So, really proud to know him, and I'm really excited to see maybe if I go to the CFL to see what I can do and maybe match up in the same type of way.
And as the CFL, there hasn't been much expansion in the country of Canada, but the next place most likely is your home province in Nova Scotia. Have you been following that at all with trying to get a 10th team in Dartmouth?
Yeah, I hear about it all the time from my family and just from people that know I play football down here, and it would be crazy. I feel like my parents, well, my mom and my grandparents, my brother have only seen 2 games that I've ever been to, and that was the LSU game and the Central Arc game. in 2018, which LSU is a pretty good game, I guess, to see. But I mean, they haven't before that. They haven't seen any other game of me playing, and it's not because I want to, but I'm trying to get to the top, and sometimes things don't match up like you want them to. So, man, if I ever got a chance to play, if I'm on a different team to play here, or if I'm on this team that is coming to Nova Scotia to play for them, or whatever the situation is, man, to be able to play in front of my family would be amazing. And I think it's gonna happen for sure. I feel like this city, man, has so much to give. You look around at some of the expansions we've had as a city, like we have a lacrosse team, and before the whole virus thing, like they were selling out games, and we have the Mooseheads, we have Sidney Crosby, we had Nathan McKinnon that are from here, and just big time dudes. And this city has a lot of love to give, so that would be amazing.
Now, Isaac, you just kind of talked about the LSU game. I think it's probably one of your most iconic games for sure. You were able to sack Joe Burrow in that game 3 times. And I think your career really skyrocketed when you made the transition from linebacker to defensive line. And I think this past year, your senior season was probably your best year for sure. 16 tackles for loss, I think 7.5 sacks. And I think a large part had to do with the new defensive coordinator, Lance Guidry. What did he mean to you to help you further your career and even get better at the defensive line position?
Yeah, he's a guy, and I've had a lot of love for him from the start. From I knew that we were going to get a new DC. All my years, I've had a new DC here, or not a new DC, but a new coach at Southeastern. So when he came in, I knew what I was getting. The year before, we played McNeese, and I knew how they played, and we ended up winning that game. But that's a guy right there that he's helped me become a better man. D-line, I feel like he gave me a lot of freedom, and he allowed me to learn more and kind of grasp the game from a different perspective. But man, as a man, he allowed me to grow exponentially. That's a guy that I owe a lot to from a personal standpoint, and I'm so happy that before he left, man, he took a chance and came to Southeastern and helped us accomplish, winning a playoff game at home and being in a position to win a conference title. That doesn't mean anything really in the standings, but just to know how far we've come in 1 year under his wing is really big time for me. So I love Guidry, and I wish him all the best.
All right, so this will be the last question for you, Isaac. But what do you want teams in the CFL and fans in the CFL to know about Isaac Adeyemi-Berglund as you continue your career?
I feel like a lot of people, they don't know what type of leadership I bring to a team. And I feel like people around Southeastern would understand it, and from the teams I was on before, they would understand it. But I'm extremely I lead extremely well. I do the right things on and off the field. I'm not somebody that messes around when it comes to football. I love this game, and I would give anything to be successful in this game, not just for myself, but for a whole team to be successful. I'm in love with winning, and I'm in love with the process. So you can look on the film, and you can turn on the film, and you're going to see a good football player. I mean, we're all good prospects. That's why we're here, and that's why we're having conversations like this. But I would like, teams in the CFL, fans in the CFL, when you draft me, you're not signing a rookie contract. You're signing a lifetime deal with me. I'm going to come in and do everything that I can do to be successful off the rip, on and off the field in the community. That's the type of man I am. I'm a great man, and I take a lot of pride in that. So I hope you draft me, and let's get going.
CFL draft prospect Isaac Adeyemi-Berglund. Isaac, how can everybody stay up with you on social media?
I'm pretty simple, man. It's at Isaac Berglund on Instagram, and the same on Twitter. So tune in if you want. I got a couple of videos coming this week that are really gonna be good. So about the process. So yeah, man. If you want to follow me, I'm public. So shoot.
CFL draft prospect Isaac Adeyemi-Berglund. Isaac, thanks so much for being here.
Thank y'all.